Hello friends, in today's video I am talking about point of total assumption. Now before I discuss this particular term, let's start with the story. So there was a buyer. He wanted to get some specific work done where he has a good clarity on scope. He also understands how this work can be executed and also understand how much it will cost. Then there is a seller who wants to provide this particular service to this buyer, and this seller also has a good grip on the scope of the work and he can also estimate the cost well. In this particular scenario, buyer asked, "Can you quote me a fixed price?" The seller thought, yes, I can quote you a fixed price because I understand the scope and cost well, but few things can go wrong. So why don't you give me some flexibility? I will quote you a one price, but in some circumstances it can exceed from that. The seller comes with that offer. Buyer thought, okay, share your costing details and tell me how much what would be the final limit. He comes up with a cost budget and he puts his own fee on it and tells that this is the target price. You will get your work in this much price. But there is a possibility that I may charge you something more if these parameters get changed during project execution. And he shares those details. The buyer says, looks good, but I can't take the complete risk. I want to put a ceiling on it. I want to put a ceiling price that, okay, we will target this. If cost will go up, I will share some percentage of cost overrun till the time my money outgoing is not crossing the selling price. If you do it in less than target price, I will share the profit or the money saving from the target price. Both of them agrees to it. And this type of agreement is called fixed price with incentive fee. Now, the buyer was only concerned about what is the target price, how much percentage I have to pay when the cost goes above the target price, and what is my ceiling price. He got those three information agreed. Now, seller comes home and start thinking about these three things. He get worried, what if my cost overrun goes beyond selling price? If it goes beyond selling price, I have to pay all the extra money. So I want to know at what particular point, how much if I spend in my budget, in my project, at what cost I will touch the ceiling price. Means the buyer payout will reach this and he will not pay anything extra. He's thinking about that. And this particular thing is called point of total assumption. Now, if you look it in a formula term, the PTA is equals to ceiling price minus target price. So this is kind of a flexibility range divided by buyer's cost share plus cost, target cost. This is a budget which the seller has prepared for this target price. Now let's take some numerical numbers and take this example forward. Now take an example where your target cost, you have estimated the project and you thought that you would be able to do this project in 150,000. This is your target cost. On this you want some fee. and you want to earn 30,000 as a fee for this project. And on that basis, you come up with 180,000 as target price. This is this target price. If something goes beyond it, the buyer has agreed that he will take 60% of extra cost. Now buyer also want to put a ceiling on it. He put a ceiling of 200,000. So I am thinking of that you will do it in 180,000. I will pay some cost overrun, a 60% of cost overrun, till the time my total payout reaches 200,000. So these are the numbers. Let's put these values in our PTA formula. Now PTA formula expects us that we should put a ceiling price, which is a 200,000 in this case. We have a target price of 180,000, and then sharing is 60%, so we need to divide it by 0.6, and our target cost is 150,000 because 30,000 is our fee. So we are targeting as a seller, I am targeting that I should be able to do it in 150,000 if I get the target price. Now if you calculate this, it will come to 183,333. This is your PTA. What does it mean? It means if your cost, which you are assuming 150,000 at the beginning, if it goes at 183,333, the buyer will reach at selling price. Now let's see it in various scenarios using table and graph. Now here I have created 4 scenarios. The first scenario is, the first column is talking about actual cost. So our target cost was 150,000, but what if the seller end up spending 160,000? The second column is actual price. So actual cost plus 30,000, which is my target fee, makes the actual price. Then we will have a column which talks about overrun. So cost overrun, how much we have spent more from target price. Our target price was 180,000. Our target cost was 150,000. Our target price was 180,000, which is 150 plus 30,000. Then we have a column which talks about buyer's share, because buyer will share 60% of the cost overrun. And final column talks about how much the buyer will pay in this particular scenario. So scenario 1 is that actual cost went up by 10,000 and you spent 160,000 at the place of 150. You still wanted to get the fee of 30,000, so your price is 190,000 now. So in this particular case, you are 10,000 over budget. Means you have spent 10,000 more because you were targeting to finish this project in 180,000. Out of this 10,000, buyer has agreed that he will pay 60% of it. So he will pay 6,000 out of this 10,000. 4,000 as a seller you need to absorb. How will you absorb? Indirectly, your profit margin, which was 30,000 initially, will shrink to 26,000. So now the payout from a buyer would be 186,000. From where this 186 came? 180 was the target price plus 6,000 as a cost overrun. So this made it 186,000. Scenario 1. Now scenario 2, if at the place of 160 we end up spending 170,000. In the case of 170,000, actual price will raise to 200,000. In the same way, the over budget or overrun is 180 minus 200,000 is 20,000. I am, as a buyer, I will pay only 60% of it. It's 12,000 I am willing to pay. So 12,000 plus 180,000 makes the buyer's payout 192,000. So we still have not reached point of total assumption. The point of total assumptions was 183,333. So what if I as a seller end up spending 183,333. this will range the price of that particular project to 213,333, 180 plus 183,333 plus 30,000. Now out of this, the overrun is 33,333. How it is coming? 180 minus 213,333. So now if I calculate 60% of this cost, it will come to 20,000. This 20,000 makes the buyer's payout 200,000. Now 200,000 was my ceiling price. Now going forward, if you spend more, my price has reached, my ceiling has reached. So after point of total assumption, if you spend more, you don't get any extra money, even 1,000 rupee from your buyer. So what if you spend 190,000, if you go in the calculation, you find out that even if cost overrun is 40,000, but now buyer can't pay the 60% of it. If he start paying 60% of it, it will become 24,000. But I have a ceiling, I can only pay till 200,000. So buyer will only pay 20,000 extra out of target price. And that is the significance of point of total assumption. If you look in a graphical format, it does not mean that if you are reaching a point of total assumption, your profit is becoming zero. Still, you are only spending 183,333, but you are still getting 200,000. You are still making nearby 16,700 profit. If you breach even the ceiling price in your expenses, then you start making losses. So as you reach towards the point of total assumption, your profit margin will start shrinking. But once you cross the point of total assumption, the absolute payout becomes a fix, and your margins will shrink further. And if your expenses keeps growing, there will be a point then you will start losing money in this particular project. So this is the history of point of total assumption. I have not seen this particular concept getting tested in PMP exam very frequently, but still it's an interesting concept, and I would recommend, rather than just memorizing the formula ceiling price minus target price divided by buyer's ratio plus target cost, better to also have a view of background. And this background will help you to understand the context when such concepts get tested in your PMP exam. Thanks for watching a video on point of total assumption. If you have any follow-up query, please post them in our forum, forum.izenbridge.com.